A pleasant day to each and everyone. I am Dominique S. Pasaol.
I am Yoana Gail A. Melendez.
I am Lourinne Lolong.
I am Kathlene Petallar.
I am Riza Parnada.
I am Angela Rose Paranter Lawag.
I am Erykah Manlubatan.
First year students studying Bachelor of Science in Psychology, and we are here to speak about our advocacy as our final performance task in the subject, purposive communication. How much of a good thing can remain good until it goes bad? How blind are we to the destruction caused by good intentions and the holier-than-thou propaganda? And how do we hold ourselves accountable to the reality that we have yet to acknowledge? A clean surroundings, or shall we say, healthy community, is essential to human beings. I mean, of course, how come people can live a healthy life in a polluted place? Place, in general, meaning everywhere. And to be specific, it may be on land, on water, and even in air. Naturally, we encounter the following questions. How do these places become polluted? Why do people use plastics? And how often do we use it?
As identified by researcher Daniel Cross, we are one of 5 countries that account for 60% of plastic waste, most of which can be pointed to this prominence of our culture that is dependent on single-use plastics. And to further this idea, it points to an economy that largely relies on only affording what is needed, as low pay and high inflation does not really do us any favors in taking us out of this sachet economy. In saying this, there is a blind spot that the recycling movement has failed to see us for, and that is the economical wasteland that forces us in the dilemma in the first place. Because when we are in the age of hyper-consumerism and production, not only secluded to the trinkets we buy for our own vanity, but sustenance or needs that keeps communities alive, no amount of recycling can make up for the damage that we have done and continue doing.
According to a recent research by the Global Alliance of Incinerator Alternatives, or GAIA, the Philippines has been referred to as a sachet economy, given to our high reliance on single-serve plastics such as multi-layered sachets and pouches at a rate of roughly 164 million every day. As a consequence to this, we are left with no choice but to recycle. Different stakeholder groups have gone beyond the usage of plastic by passing ordinances that prohibit single-use plastic, coupled with the Republic Act 9003, also known as the Ecological Solid Waste Management Act of 2000, which presents the necessary framework and institutional mechanisms mandating local government units to achieve 25% waste reduction and establishment of MRF, or material recovery facility, designed to receive mixed waste for final sorting, segregation, composting, and recycling. Recognizing the general idea of what recycling really is promotes environmental responsibility and encourages people to reflect on how their actions contribute to the environment. But program implementations in schools, public spaces, and communities are useless if there is no public interest. Rather than simply talking about what we believe or aim to accomplish, we should all back up our words with actions. Estimated at around 30% or $1 billion plastic are recycled here, while other unrecycled materials are wasted every year, which leads us to wonder, where do these plastics go, considering that they do not just simply vanish in plain sight? And is recycling truly sufficient when a plastic has been merely processed into another less valuable piece of plastic?
One of the several issues that the recycling sector has is the lack of space for setting up recycling plants in densely populated areas, resulting in facility shortages. Aside from the recycling plants itself, the local waste management system requires a materials recovery facility, which is a specialized factory that separates material recycling and prepares it for marketing to end-user companies. This challenge is exacerbated by an increase in electricity costs of more than 30%, high logistic expenses, and fuel costs that have nearly doubled since the pandemic began. It is also worth noting that companies only choose waste that they can make money off without compromising on quality. In a broader sense, why do we, the people in a sachet economy, have to carry this whole burden alone? Why not call out manufacturers and companies and hold them accountable for the waste they produce? While it is true that each party has its own responsibility, the movement to end plastic production can't be initiated by individuals alone.
This is when the term greenwashing enters the picture. For many years, we were led to believe that the problem could be solved if and only if we practiced effective waste management where plastics are collected and disposed properly, and blindly used the phrase recycling as a convenient umbrella term that has always been confronted with problems left and right. These proposed solutions just shift the load back to the government and consumers, despite the fact that corporations have been the ones externalizing plastic waste and profiting from them to this day. Greenwashing has become a very common practice, along with empty promises of remarketing and rebranding themselves as green or environmentally beneficial while continuing with their resource consuming and inefficient practices to deceive the public. Based on Break Free from Plastics 2022 brand audit report that the Coca-Cola Company, Philip Morris International, and Universal Robina Corporation were the top 3 corporate polluters in the Philippines in 2022. The shift to a plastic-free society draws attention to systematic alternatives, and businesses must manage their environmental footprint and contribute to addressing environmental injustices against the environment. Do not misunderstand us. Recycling is a crucial component of our environmental initiatives. It reduces pollution, conserves resources, and makes new things from old. But we can prevent waste in the first place if we cut back on and reuse our plastic usage. The idea that items and materials have uses beyond those of their initial consumers informs the reuse processes from the outset. Reusing and reducing enables us to assume accountability for the garbage we produce. Living sustainably involves nothing more than not using up our resources more quickly than we can replenish them. This comprises all aspects, including food and drink, to power, as well as air.
Previously, we went on and on about how recycling culture works, as well as the different claims made about its effectiveness. Despite the pushback and seemingly scathing take on recycling, it has largely done its part as an effective initial mitigation for the plastic waste crisis. However, its sensationalism has kept us blind to the bigger picture of the progressively complex problem. We presented various reasons, evidence, and key areas that relate to the concerning issue to expand our view of the circumstances that we are here for. For years and years, there has been no doubt that we really did try to contribute to saving our environment through recycling. But was it, and is it enough to solve our problem? The approach moving forward could take the form of a due process that can be branched out from, as opposed to a circular model that often leads to a dead and wishful, recycling cannot save us from this crisis. With the situation that we are currently in, it is pretty obvious that just recycling is not of any help. Because what we need is something more than that, something with a bigger impact, something modern and innovative. For a reason, long-term problems such as the plastic waste crisis require long-term solutions that cannot be confined to recycling. There is an untapped sphere of more sustainable methods that could set the precedent for change with staying power. For example, let's stop to actually reduce plastic waste. If you can observe here in our university, we have recently put an end to selling bottled waters and instead establish a vending water machine in order to encourage students to use their water bottles. Another great way would be using our own eco bags when grocery shopping or even when shopping for clothes or even other stuff you may need.
Now take time to reflect and assess within yourself what's really happening. Keep what resonates with the welfare of every existing individual and species. Disregard what doesn't. Our resources are finite, so we should act before it's too late. The world will not stop, but it will die once we keep our eyes shut and our hearts solid as rock. It is our time to repay the earth for its remarkable acts for humankind. Let us not wait for Mother Nature to take vengeance and reap her wrath upon the world because of the things that we do for our own selfishness and convenience. The environment's cleanliness and preservation are no one's responsibility but ours alone. As humans as we are we really recycling right? Or are we making this situation worse than it could ever be? Thank you for listening.